You already know the relationship was wrong. You know it. You have said it out loud. Maybe to a friend. Maybe to yourself alone at 2 a.m. I know this is not good for me. And yet, you check their Instagram. You reread old messages. You find yourself defending them to people who are worried about you. You plan to leave, and then they call, or they text, or they just look at you a certain way, and something inside you reaches, not toward them, toward the beginning, toward the version of them that made you feel more alive than you had ever felt. And here is the question that no one ever seems to answer honestly. Why? Why, when every logical part of you knows better, does leaving feel impossible? Today I'm going to answer that question, not with judgment, not with just leave, but with the actual science of what is happening inside your brain. Because what you're experiencing has a name. It is called a trauma bond. And it is not a weakness. It is a wound. I'm Dr. Alex, a clinical psychologist. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through what a trauma bond actually is, how it forms, step by step, what it does to your nervous system, 6 signs that you may be in one right now, and what breaking free actually looks like. Because it is not as simple as just leave. If you have ever stayed somewhere you knew you should not have stayed, this video is for you. I want to tell you about a patient. I will call him Rayan. He was 31 years old when he came to see me. Calm, measured, thoughtful. He sat down and said, "I need you to tell me what is wrong with me." He had been in a relationship for 2 years. He described the first few months as the best I have ever felt in my life. Constant attention, deep conversations, a feeling of being completely understood. Then things began to shift. Small criticisms at first, then silences that lasted days, then warmth again, just enough. He had tried to leave 4 times. 4 times he had packed his things. 4 times he had come back. "I know what it is," he told me. "I know she is not good for me. But when I am away from her, I cannot breathe properly." I told him, "There is nothing wrong with you, Rayan. Your brain is doing exactly what it was wired to do, under exactly these conditions. That is not weakness, that is neuroscience." So what exactly is a trauma bond? The term was first introduced by psychologist Dr. Donald Dutton and Dr. Susan Painter in 1981. They studied why people remain attached to abusers, and what they found changed the way psychology understands toxic relationships forever. A trauma bond is not a bond formed over a shared trauma. It is a bond formed through a specific cycle, alternating between fear and relief, pain and comfort, cruelty and warmth, from the same source. And here is what makes it so powerful. When the only person who can hurt you is also the only person who can comfort you, your brain does not learn to leave. Your brain learns to stay, because staying feels like the only path to relief. That is not a personal failing. That is the psychology of survival. Now here is the science. And I want you to listen to this carefully, because this is the part that removes the shame. When you are in a trauma bond, 2 separate chemical systems are running at the same time. During the good moments, dopamine floods your brain. The same chemical is released by food, by music, by every other thing that gives you pleasure. But here is the critical detail. Research confirms that dopamine flows more intensely with an unpredictable reward than with a consistent reward. When you do not know when the warmth will come, your brain becomes obsessed with waiting for it. That obsession is not love. It is neurochemistry. And during the bad moments, cortisol and adrenaline flood your system. Your body enters fight or flight. Your heart races. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making, goes offline. Neuroscience research shows that during moments of acute stress, the limbic system takes over. The emotional brain, the survival brain, the part that does not think, the part that only feels. And what does the survival brain learn? Returning to the abuser stops the cortisol. That reunion means relief, that the fastest way out of pain is back toward the source of it. This is what researchers describe as the ultimate cruelty of the trauma bond. It turns your own survival instincts against you. Your body is not broken. Your body's doing exactly what it was designed to do in conditions of repeated, unpredictable threat. The problem is not your body. The problem is the conditions you are in. So how do you know if what you are in is a trauma bond and not just a difficult relationship? Here are 6 specific signs. Sign 1. You defend them to the people who love you. Someone who cares about you expresses concern. Maybe a friend, maybe a sibling. And before they even finish the sentence, you are already explaining. You don't understand the full picture. They have been through a lot. They are not always like that. This is one of the clearest signs of a trauma bond, because you are not defending what they did. You are protecting the version of them that still exists in your hope. Sign 2. You feel more anxious away from them than you do when you are with them. This is perhaps the most confusing sign, because it seems backwards. Shouldn't distance feel like relief? In a trauma bond, it often does not. Research shows that reunion with an abuser triggers a drop in cortisol. Your stressed nervous system registers coming back as safety, so being away feels like danger, and being with them, even in tension, feels like the only place your body can settle. If leaving feels physically unbearable, that is not love holding you there. That is your nervous system. Sign 3. You have started managing their emotions as a full-time job. You know their moods before they walk into a room. You can feel the atmosphere shift before anyone speaks. You organize your words, your tone, your entire day around not triggering them. You are not doing this because you are weak. You are doing this because your nervous system has learned, through repeated experience, that emotional safety requires constant vigilance. Psychologists call this hypervigilance, and it does not feel like fear. It feels like love, it feels like caring, it feels like being a good partner, but it is survival. Sign 4. The good moments feel like proof that the bad moments are not real. They do something kind, they apologize, they become, briefly, the person from the beginning. And something in you thinks, this is the real them. The other moments were not really them. This is what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, the painful mental conflict of loving someone who also hurts you. Your mind tries to resolve that conflict by splitting them into 2 people, the real one, who loves you, and the other one, who must have been triggered, or stressed, or having a bad day. But here is the truth. They are one person, and the pattern, not the exceptions, is the truth. Sign 5. You have lost yourself quietly. You no longer remember clearly what you used to enjoy. Your opinions have softened. Your friendships have thinned. You spend more time inside their world and less time inside yours. This happens so gradually that there is rarely a moment you can point to and say, that is when it changed. It happens in hundreds of small adjustments, each one reasonable. Together, a disappearance. Research by Lysiak and Gelsthorpe in 2025 described how abusive partners weaponize affection to foster dependence, making the bond itself feel like identity. You do not just love them, you have organized your sense of self around them, and leaving means not just losing the relationship, it means not knowing who you are without it. Sign 6. You keep a secret version of the relationship. Outside you present one story. Inside, you live a different one. You have become, without realizing it, what one researcher described as the public relations manager for your abuser. Carefully controlling what others see, protecting a version of the relationship that exists mostly in hope. And the cost of this is profound, because it means the only person who truly knows your reality is them, which makes you need them more, which deepens the bond. This is not coincidence, this is the architecture of control. I want to say something directly to anyone who has ever heard the words, just leave. You know it is bad for you. Why don't you just go? Those words are said by people who have never experienced a trauma bond, because leaving a trauma bond is not a decision. It is a process. Research on intimate partner violence shows that on average, a person in an abusive relationship attempts to leave 7 times before leaving for good. 7 times. Not because they are foolish, not because they do not know better, but because each time they leave, their nervous system experiences withdrawal. Real, physical withdrawal, not metaphorical. The cortisol spikes, the dopamine drops. The body goes into a kind of mourning that is neurologically indistinguishable from grief. And going back, once even temporarily, brings chemical relief. Understanding this does not excuse the relationship. It explains why strength alone is not enough. You are not failing when you go back. You are responding to biology. And biology responds to support, not judgment. So what does breaking a trauma bond actually look like? The first truth is this. You cannot think your way out of a trauma bond because the bond was not formed through thought. It was formed through your nervous system. And your nervous system heals through repeated experiences of safety, not through logic. This means healing requires three things. First, distance. Not because absence makes it easier, but because your nervous system cannot begin to recalibrate while it is still inside the cycle. Every time you return, the bond resets. Distance is not punishment. Distance is medicine. Second, support. Isolation is what deepens the bond. Connection is what begins to break it. One honest conversation with one person who sees you clearly is more powerful than 100 hours of trying to think your way to clarity alone. Third, time. Not forever, but longer than it feels like it should take. Your nervous system spent months or years learning that this person meant safety. It will not unlearn that overnight. Trauma-focused therapy, particularly approaches like EMDR and CBT, have strong research support for helping survivors of trauma bonds rebuild their internal compass. But healing also begins with something you can do right now. It begins with stopping the question, what is wrong with me? And asking instead, what happened to me? That single shift from shame to understanding is where healing starts. Before you leave today, I want you to hear something. You did not stay because you are weak. You stayed because you were bonded by a cycle designed, whether consciously or not, to make leaving feel like destruction. The fact that you are here, asking these questions, looking for language for something that has not had language, that is not weakness. That is the beginning of clarity. And clarity is where everything changes. If today's video gave words to something you have been carrying silently, share it with someone who might be carrying the same thing. You may be giving them the first honest explanation they have ever received. I'm Dr. Alex. Until next time, keep asking the difficult questions, because understanding your mind is one of the greatest acts of self-respect.